Okay, welcome everybody to this new edition of the Neighborhood Watch, episode 13. And for all of you who were wondering what the 13th episode would be about, how could it be anything other than 1980s Friday the 13th?
Dun, dun, dun.
Take that. And tonight, we're going to be especially blessed with another guest appearance by our favorite anti-hero, Mr. Corso.
Heyo.
You have graced us with
Thanks
your
for having me
presence.
back.
Yes.
Peter, Mr. Corso, how are we doing tonight?
Decent.
Yep.
Very decent.
Yep, we're
Good.
doing good. We're doing good. We're happy because we get to talk about this movie, man.
Finally.
Friday the 13th. It
Yep.
was last Friday when we watched it.
That's right.
Mhm.
And now here we
And
are
today's
again.
Friday the
The
12th.
12th. Oh, man. So close.
close.
So close.
So close.
If only it was September, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have
Well,
a
that's
Friday
the
the
next
13th
one.
this year. Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
we couldn't wait
That's
that
Can
long.
do a recap or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Hopefully
would be an interesting
we'll be on
experiment.
Jason X by then, right?
We should try that sometime, though. Like watch the movie and then wait like 4 or 5 months before we record our podcast about it.
So
You
what
remember?
happened in that movie?
Was there aliens in it?
It's Kevin Bacon. That's it.
But speaking of this movie, this is really this is the springboard, right? For a lot of the tropes that became so prevalent in the 80s, even after the 80s, but
Yeah.
particularly in the 80s, with teenage
Genre.
campers
Yep.
getting murdered.
Right.
And the ridiculous misconception that everybody has who doesn't know for the Friday the 13th series, thinking that it was Jason in the first one, which it has everything to do with Jason, but we don't see him until the last shot.
Yeah, which was quite shocking for me because it's been a
Fantastic.
few years since I'd seen it, and I forgot all about that.
yeah,
Me
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is a hook, though. I mean, so
Oh,
you guys hadn't
so
seen it in a
good.
long time. I've watched it 100 times.
God,
So
I swear probably the last time I saw it was shortly after it came out.
oh
as a
yeah,
kid.
right, totally.
It's been
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah.
You got
totally.
it on VHS as a rental or something.
Yeah, I'd watch it
yeah.
after school with my buddy who had his dad had horror movies and
Yes.
stuff like
He was a good dad, like
Yeah.
like us.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
that. Horror movies and porn, by the way.
Yes. yes.
Good people.
But that really is a good moment, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like, she's in the boat and you think everything is safe, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
Oh, it's
then
so,
there is Jason, right? Because the whole time it's
It's
Mrs. Voorhees, the wonderful Mrs. Voorhees.
it's so great because it's like I think we've seen this now in a few other movies where like this was before it almost that kind of thing turned cliche in horror
Exactly.
movies, you know,
Oh, yeah,
where it's
absolutely
like
was, yeah.
everything's fine,
That's right.
we solved the problem, everybody's happy, and the
Yeah, yeah,
happy
yeah.
music's playing, and
Yep.
and it was
Yep.
even so happy that I was sitting there just kind of like singing along with it, like she's in the boat and she's the hills are alive,
Yeah,
she's
they
like
have
singing.
Yeah.
wonderful
And then-
synthesizer music
Yeah.
going
It is.
on.
It
Yeah,
really
and we were
is,
talking like, oh, that's where Mandy, that's where in the
Yep.
beginning of Mandy, where we're gonna see Nick Cage on a boat back
On
there,
the-
paddling away or something.
Yep.
We're just joking and laughing, and then bam, he just shoots
he
up,
shoots out of the water.
grabs her,
Yep.
and
This,
takes her down.
Slimy
And-
child
Yeah.
hops out of the lake and
Yes.
Oh, he's
fucks
so
up all our
horror.
dreams.
And so,
Yeah.
and it's great too, right? Because the next thing we see her in the hospital, and she really was in the water.
Yeah.
That really happened.
That really happened. Yeah.
Right? Or did it really happen?
Yeah,
But I
'cause-
think it did. I think, yeah. He because, and I think I bounced this idea off you guys. What do you think? Is it because, so Mrs. Voorhees gets killed, right? And Jason has been dead for 25 years or whatever, right? Since 1958.
Yeah.
22 years.
Yeah.
But then in her dying, Jason comes back, right?
Like a soul
Yeah.
transfer or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
malevolence that was in the mom went into the dead body at the bottom of the
Yeah.
lake of Jason Voorhees, and then that brought him back.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I dig that hypothesis.
I like
yeah.
it.
I like that too. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the other way you could think about it though is that, because I didn't even think about it that way. I was thinking more like, she's getting some kind of possession or something from
Right.
her dead son.
Mhm.
I guess that is kind of similar, right? It's like, but his spirit is possessing.
It's
her.
motivating her
Yeah.
to do evil. Yeah.
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 And then it just goes back into his body, I guess.
Ah, right.
After
Okay.
it's done with
okay.
her.
Okay. Yep.
I don't
Yep,
know.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Totally.
It's
See,
we're
we
all
should have watched the
theorizing.
second one because I think they try to explain some of this, but I can't
Right.
remember.
Right.
Because he builds the altar. The weird thing is it's like apparently the second one is supposed to be like 20 years in the future because he's all grown up, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's now a full-grown man lurking around in the woods, living in a trailer, like a ramshackle thing. But he finds her head, right? Because her head got cut off with the shovel. I think is that.
Good God, yeah.
It's a shovel, right? Yeah.
Shovel decapitation.
Then shovel decapitation, and then he builds like an altar to her head, and he doesn't have the mask, right? Which everybody forgets, man. He doesn't even get the mask till the third one.
It's really hardcore to worship your mother's severed head.
It is, yeah. That one, that was the first one I saw as a kid, and that creeped me out.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was so like cultish and weird, and that the fact that he's got that burlap bag with the crooked cutout eyeball holes in it.
Just one eyeball.
See,
with one eyeball, it's just one eyeball looking out, and then the rope. Oh, dude,
we got to see it. We got to see it again.
Yeah,
because I barely remember it. So
yep.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
I think. But you know what's interesting is up until Jason pops out of the water. Though,
yes.
Up until then, there's nothing supernatural at all about this movie.
Absolutely.
There's
yeah,
no
right. It's just a straight up murder movie.
It's pure slasher.
Yeah, totally slasher. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It almost like, it almost makes me think too. What if Jason just never died though?
Yeah, right.
He never drowned.
That's what I originally thought for the longest time too. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
and then
he's just in stasis or something.
Yeah, and
right?
he convinced her that he was dead or something.
Ah.
And she went off the deep end, and she thinks she's just hearing his voice,
right.
But he actually is talking to her. So I don't know.
What if Jason was actually an aquatic person?
Yeah, he can breathe underwater.
Yeah,
she never knew he had gills.
You kind of look like it.
And
he did look pretty
he
rough.
just liked to live in the lake.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, before I forget, I wanted to ask you guys in the audience too. Are you superstitious about 13, the number 13?
Ooh.
No, I think it's kind of a good number sometimes.
Really?
You know,
That's good.
Like I've talked to other magic usery people, and they're like, "Yeah, 13's a great number."
Hey, all right.
The reason, well, here's my little input on it. Is the reason Friday the 13th is a unholy date is because of the Knights Templars. That was the date that they all got like routed out and killed. It was on Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
makes sense.
that's kind of a history of why it's a bad date.
Right.
Yeah. I never knew because I always associated just with the number 13 as having a hex on it, which might just stem from that. But like the no 13th floor kind of thing in buildings.
Yeah.
And, so I'm like probably one of the least superstitious people you'll ever meet. So I would say no, unless I'm playing Risk or Yahtzee. Then I do.
By the way,
superstitious because
by the way, I live in
dice drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I live in apartment number 13. By the way,
hey,
special significance to me.
All right.
So you don't care. That doesn't bother you.
Totally.
Well, for me, I'm not superstitious about anything really, except for the number 13.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's not like I deliberately try to avoid. Well, I'm wrong. I'm lying. I do try to avoid it because if like the volume on the TV is at 13, it drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I can't.
12.
I'll put on 12 or 14.
Yeah.
Can't leave it on 13.
Sure.
Same thing with on the radio too. Or, if I can control the number 13 around me, I will control it.
So then you never watch Channel 13 either, do you?
Well, see that's where it would make a difference because I would say Channel 13 I can't control that it's called Channel 13.
Yeah, good point.
So but I wouldn't have the volume on 13 on Channel 13.
That could be bad.
Yeah,
on the 13th of the 13th month.
Right, exactly.
Oh man, you're just asking for a portal to open up.
Yeah,
and something horrible to crawl out with tentacles.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So, but we were talking a little bit about that. How this movie Friday the 13th, is like such a. It's such a great marketing idea too, because it's just like Halloween too. It's going to come up every year.
Yep.
Right.
And so people are like, oh, it's Friday the 13th. Let's go watch Friday the 13th.
Exactly.
Or there's a new Friday the 13th movie. Let's go watch it. It's all built around just the date.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. An annual moneymaker.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. My Bloody Valentine, right? I only made 2 of those, but
wasn't there a band too?
It is named after the movie.
Yeah.
My Bloody Valentine's a great band.
Yes. The first one, the one in the 80s, with I think that's what's his name is in that. The dude from Halloween 3, Tom Adkins.
Oh yeah,
is in it. It's really good. I like it, and I really liked the remake too, which was actually I think that's called My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, but that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was one of
I
the very
vaguely
few
remember
where
that.
I'm like, they rebooted something and kind of upped the game, and
Nice.
because that was it's like a cool whodunit movie. You know, who is the killer?
And that
I
was
think
with
it's this
the
person, I
new
think it's that
version of 3D, right?
Yeah. The
Mid,
newfangled 3D.
Mid-aughts it came out
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's about right. I scored. Well, let's see. Yeah, Blockbuster was still open because that's where I bought it. Was that the Blockbuster bin?
Rip Blockbuster.
Yes. Rest in peace. Oh man, you know, here, I just committed sacrilege too. So for spring break last week, I was in Bend for a whole week and didn't go to the freaking Blockbuster.
Wait, is that one of the last Blockbusters?
It is
The
the
only
last one now.
Oh my
in
God.
There's
existence.
3 in Alaska shut down. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's only one.
Yeah.
And I didn't go because we didn't ever go into town. Like
Well.
literally, we weren't in town for anything. We're just kind of out in the boonies.
I kind of feel like maybe it's better not to go though, because
I
maybe it'd just be
know.
depressing and
Burst
be
the
like, oh, it's
bubble.
not as good as I remember.
It'll just be like a memorial.
No, I'd be a gaper,
Yeah,
dude.
stuff.
I'd be like a, you know, a freaking European national at Disneyland or something with my camera. You know, like, oh, taking pictures of everything. Let me see. Oh, I got to see that. Oh, I got to see that. Oh, I got to see that.
I'm not going to rent anything, but
No.
I will take
buy
pictures
some
of
Butterfingers,
everything.
though.
I was thinking it would be like how Something About Mary was for me.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember that movie being so funny,
Yep.
you know. And then I tried to show it to my wife.
Yep.
A few years ago, and we were
Felt
both
whack.
watching it, just like kind of a little bit horrified. It doesn't like the political correctness and everything
Yeah.
just doesn't translate
Yeah.
to times now.
Sure.
And like
Yep.
they're
It
just
aged horribly.
Right.
yeah, there are some jokes in there where it's just pretty brutal and rough, and you're
Yeah.
like, people thought used to think this
Yeah.
was funny.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yikes.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some great
it's no
funny
Kingpin, right?
parts. Yeah. Oh, Kingpin. See, but there's the thing though. I think Kingpin survives though because
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous.
Oh,
you
it
know?
is. It is over
Where-
the top
Yeah,
ridiculous.
whereas Something
Yeah,
About
yeah,
Mary was
Yeah,
it
sure.
was like this weird borderline of like trying to be a romantic comedy kind of, but then it had this ridiculous stuff too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
you know, we digress.
Yes,
but,
we do.
But that's what I would be thinking Blockbuster is like. It's like,
Yes.
oh, it's gonna be great, like Something About Mary, and then not as
The
good.
blue carpet is not what I remembered it.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up a point though about Friday the 13th.
Please do.
And let's see if I can recreate what my brain was doing a couple hours ago. Probably not, but let's see. Basically, what I was thinking was that this movie feels pretty modern still. Like it's
Yeah, oh, okay.
1980,
Yeah.
the style of filmmaking. I'm
Yeah.
saying, right?
Yeah.
The
Right.
handheld stuff.
Yes. Right.
And I think that was pretty new in 1980.
Totally, it was.
That kind of thing, right?
Totally.
And it was almost like I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, this kind of feels like this was one of the first times where the movie really invited the audience into the
Right.
experience. Like the actors are looking directly into the camera.
Sure.
That's
yeah.
right.
And when especially when they're driving, you know,
Yep.
and you got
Oh,
that
yeah.
conversation between the
Yeah.
driver and her.
Uh-huh. That was great.
And
That's
it's
a
like
great
you're
scene in
it's
the
like you're
Jeep,
literally sitting in between them. You know,
Mhm.
like your head is turning from one to the other.
Right.
And I was thinking like, I think that was one of the keys that really struck people,
Sure.
like hit them hard. And I don't think that had really been done before then, at least not to that extent.
Right.
You know,
Right.
maybe a little bit in Jaws,
Yeah.
a little bit handheld stuff, but not really.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. So the only thing that I didn't even think of Jaws, but you're right. It was in Halloween, right? There's
Yeah.
a couple of perspective shots, especially early in the film when we're seeing Michael Myers' perspective, right? When he's still a kid and he's walking around the house, and they do that super long shot, and then the stabbing scene
Yeah.
where you see his hand come into camera. But it was way more subtle in
Yeah.
this film, right? And
Yeah.
and two, it don't. Would you agree that it really works in that we don't know who the killer is?
Yes. That's a
Until
huge
about
thing.
2/3 of the way. I mean, half the people are already dead, more than half.
Yeah.
Dang near everybody's dead before Mrs. Voorhees comes out and is like, "Hi, it's
Yeah.
me." You know.
Right.
And by the way, a side note on the murderees
Yes.
is that it was apparently like a Christian summer camp. So it was just.
They deserve
I
it.
mean, at the beginning of the movie, they're just all like, you know, "Kumbaya, my lord," like all these like
Yeah,
hymnal
that's
type
right.
stuff.
Right.
It's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
these are a bunch of Christians being killed.
A
little Easter egg there.
And Peter brought this up too. This is getting into that whole idea of being punished for your sins, right? That whole, that trope's been around forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the good kid, the good question, parentheses, good kids doing deviant things, which is making out and having sex, the worst thing you could ever do, right? But that's what they're being punished for time and time again, right? In the first one, that's what she kills him for, and then
it's very
in the
folk
second
tale
one,
kind of, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Brothers Grimm kind of like,
don't
do that.
Totally.
Or
You're going to have to pay the price if you break the rules. Yeah.
Pay Mrs. Voorhees.
Yep. There's not even all that. Oh, I guess they do pass the joint around too. That was that's kind of like pulling at that string too, right? When they're playing Monopoly and they're smoking a joint. It's like, they're deviants.
They were having sex and smoking the reefer.
And playing strip Monopoly.
Strip Monopoly.
They deserve to be killed by a machete.
Man,
they do.
Definitely. But yeah, it's I think when I was watching that, I definitely had that feeling like, this is something, they're doing something new here with that handheld camera. Yeah. And then we've seen it forever since then.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Everybody
has
has
been
done
downhill from there.
Yeah. And like up until then, I really feel there's a few examples, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, like you just said. But I think for the most part, 60s and the 70s, you always had this barrier between the audience and the movie.
Absolutely.
Almost this theatrical kind of feeling where it's like there's the stage and there's the audience. And for as scary as it gets, Psycho, any scary Hitchcock movie, there's also kind of that delicious comfortableness of saying this is happening separate from me, though.
Man,
this is up on the stage, and I'm just enjoying this as an experience, right? That's right. But Friday the 13th, now you are part of the stage.
You're there.
You're in it, and it's inviting you in, and you can't get out.
It's kind of 3D in that way too, though, if you look at it. Because your mind is being 3D in the
pulled
movie.
Into it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I wonder too, because what you're getting at is really Nightmare on Elm Street to the max, right? It's like bringing you into this idea that nowhere is safe anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you
villain
can't trust
is
anything.
something that you can't trust. You can't trust yourself to go to sleep because you're pulled in, and Wes Craven did the same thing about really getting the audience to sympathize with the main characters in that. Like, oh, dude, what if I couldn't go to sleep? And then every time I did, the blood is pouring out of the ceiling, and
that's where it really gets brilliant because then it's like you can't even trust reality anymore.
Right?
What is reality?
And you're delusional because you've been awake for 40 hours in a row.
Right. At least in Friday the 13th, you know, like, okay, you know, the other camp counselor is human.
Yes.
I can at least trust that, you know?
Right. And if I pick a phone up, there's not going to be a Freddy tongue sticking into my ear.
Right.
And turn into Freddy's mouth.
Or the phone won't be gigantic like in Top Secret. That's still my favorite part in Top Secret, that giant phone. Do you remember that?
The gigantic phone.
It's like a phone right in the foreground of the frame, and the Nazi, and it's huge, and the Nazi guy walks over to it, and he picks it up, and it's like it's still gigantic. Just awesome.
Yeah. The power of perspective, right?
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. Yep. But yeah, so I think Friday the 13th, it feels like this story of the camp counselor thing, that's not a new story.
Oh no, not it. People have been telling that at camp since as long as there's been a camp.
It is like the campfire story, right?
Yeah,
the crazy person in the woods, and and they're picking everybody off, and this is now we're actually seeing it in on the screen.
Yeah, totally. And and there's a little bit of spin there too, right? It's not the craze. It's not the Michael Myers where some crazed killer that's going to infiltrate the camp and kill us all, right? It's even more creepy in that it's a familiar. Yeah. Right? You've got one of the I guess I don't know if Miss Voorhees was a counselor so much as she was kind of like a head honcho, right? And Jason's her little kid. Yeah. But it's one of the adult figures who you're supposed to be able to trust. Yeah.
Right.
Is the one.
She's one of the regular tribe. You know, she's not a monster out there in the woods.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Which makes that Jeep
she's
scene
one of
so
us.
much better, right? When she picks a girl up in the Jeep and she's like, I need to get out, and then she gets killed because you get it's like, oh, this is a nice person. I'm safe.
Yeah, she's just a nice old
wait a
lady.
minute, we passed the road. That whole thing is great.
Yeah. That's great. Because part of you, the first time you see it, you're thinking, well, maybe it's Ralph. Crazy Ralph is the one that's going around killing everybody.
Crazy Ralph.
Totally.
It's
totally.
Crazy Ralph.
And I even thought maybe it was the main dude, the main guy who's starting the camp back up.
Yeah.
Because he also was driving a Jeep.
Yep.
And when we see the one girl get into the Jeep, it's like, oh man, is she getting in? Is he the killer? Right. But we find out pretty quick that it's. Yeah. It's not, but it is cool to keep you guessing.
Yeah, because he disappers early on too, right?
He does.
Everybody's
He's
there.
in and out. Yeah, he goes into.
Where did he go?
I wonder that great lady at the diner with the glasses, the humongous
yes.
Coke bottle glasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's at the time like having a female murderer character was actually really shocking as well.
Yeah.
Man, right. That too.
You know, you would suspect a male, obviously,
Totally.
right? But it was the mother.
Totally. Yep. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Switching the gender roles. A lot like what they did with Alien and having the main protagonist be a woman, right?
Ripley.
And in this, it's kind of the flip, right? Make the main antagonist a woman.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Mr. Corso had a great point when we were watching it too, was Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
He's just like a side character. He's not even one of the main
Not even a main dude.
Really.
Yeah.
He's just like
he's got a great death scene though, right?
He does
With
have
the
a
under
great
the
death
bed arrow sticks up through his chest.
Yeah. Tom Savini, right?
Totally Tom Savini.
That's our boy Tom
Killing
Savini.
it, people.
Yep.
Tom Savini.
The
Listen to our
makeup
5-minute top fives on visual effects artists, and you'll know who we're talking about because he's the effing master. The throat cutting scene with the girl when she rolls her neck back and her throat opens up. Oh, there's a whole bunch where he's really firing on all cylinders.
That was very graphic.
It was totally.
It looked so realistic.
It did. It did. Like disturbingly so. Yeah. Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, and so that was another thing where we were talking about how it one of the great things about this movie is it really hooks onto that kind of primal nature of humans of the sexual desire, and then the
juxtaposing the two,
the survival instinct, and
and
it's all about sex and blood, really.
Going straight back to the lizard brain.
That's right.
That's right. The reptilians are so happy when they watch this movie.
Yes,
they're happy when we watch it.
Right.
That's right.
Yes, humans. Yes, blood and sex.
Yep.
I feel my inner Sleestack coming to bear.
Yeah, man. So it's just full of that, though. That. And I mean, man, I have to say it like that. The Kevin Bacon's girlfriend, she was smoking hot. She was gorgeous, I thought.
Ooh, baby.
Agreed.
And so you're just
because
like,
it's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. I mean, but like, you're just like, she's either going to get naked or she's going to die horribly. It really appeals to your really base,
Ultimately, you want both.
Yeah. That's sick.
Get it in spades. Get it in spades.
Yeah.
That's why there's snuff porn, you guys.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's going to be our next episode.
Yes.
Mr. Corso is going to find some good snuff porn for us to watch.
That's true horror.
Yes. Yes. Well, there was
Wait, why is it me going to find the snuff porn?
Well,
you're the guy who goes on the dark web.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
We're not even going to bring up Vampiro's Lesbos and how great that was. That was vampire horror, but
and a great soundtrack.
The greatest soundtrack known to man. People, okay, forget this. Forget that it's a snuff film. It is the greatest funk soundtrack that will blow your effing mind. 2 bits. Look up Vampiro's Lesbos. It's an Italian snuff film from the early 70s, and the soundtrack it's beyond belief. It's so good.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you have Italian vampires singing in gibberish. It's not even real words. But they're singing like melodies in Vampiro to the funkiest crap you've ever heard in your life.
This sounds magnificent.
Oh yeah, it is. Vampiro's Lesbos.
Awesome. Yeah, but let's get back to
back to the movie
for a second.
Yep.
So, was there any parts for you that stand out, like, as just that was a great scene, or that this is why there's 18 sequels because of this scene, or is there anything that stands out in this first one?
Okay, I'll go first. So this is going to be an interesting one. Is that rewatching it again, it really occurred to me what I liked so much about the character of Ralph is that he's a red herring. And that part I think is great because what it does is, and then we talked about this before with not knowing who the killer is, You've got the character of Ralph, who we see, and we see he's a crazy person. We've got the killer, who we get their perspective, but we don't know who the killer is.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying, I felt suspicious of the guy running the place for most of the movie, right? I'm thinking, oh, it could be him, kind of thing. At least the first time I watched it. And so I really like that aspect of being suspicious of guessing who it is, because we see people getting killed right off the bat, right? But it's all this first person stuff and we don't know who it is. But I loved the character of Ralph and his red herring, in that he's super weird and eccentric and like stereotypically horror goofiness, but that actor kills that part, man. He slays it, and it's really good.
He does.
And I love that it doesn't go anywhere, right? It's kind of like, no, that he's just a crazy guy who lives in town, and he gets you thinking in the wrong direction.
And he has that great scene that Mr. Corso pointed out too, where
he rides his bike to nowhere.
Well, yeah, and oh, that was great too. But I was thinking of when they open the door for the food pantry.
Oh yeah,
and he's just standing
he's
in
just
there,
lurking in there.
And then what did you say?
Well, you're not food. No, I was just doing some MST3K stuff.
Right.
That was it.
That was great. But what was he doing back there?
Why
He's just
why
standing there.
are you there, man?
Yeah. That, and then when he gets on his bike, they're like, "You have to leave," and then he just rides his bike into the camp.
Yes. Yeah.
And the cop does it too, though.
Yes.
Remember the cop on the motorcycle?
Yeah.
And he just starts going towards the lake.
It's
like, what?
Both of those are one shots where it
They
just looks
are,
like they're
exactly.
gonna wipe out at any time.
Right.
That was hilarious, to be honest. Both the
I bet
motorcycle
the
and the
filmmakers
bicycle.
had to have known. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That reminds me though of the scene where the guy was pretending to drown.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, right.
That was pretty well shot too.
That was
building
awesome. Yeah, because
tension.
it was all one take.
Yep.
And yeah, actually, I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's like it puts you in the moment there, just kind of freaking out, like, oh man.
Yeah.
If you were in that spot in real life,
dude, totally.
your life is a one take. You're not going to have
Yeah.
multiple shots. It just feels
That's
like
right.
everybody's
That's how
freaking
it
out
would
and
unfold.
using. You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That was
pretty
really
good.
good.
But it was
and great,
bullshit.
another red herring, right? It's,
Yeah.
it's like it's giving you you're getting tense and tense and tense, and then bleh, it's nothing. Like, oh,
It's
what?
not a jump scare per
no,
se, you know,
but it's a psych out.
It's a build up, psych out.
Yeah.
It's this movie has so much foreplay.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
really what
Right.
it is, right?
Totally.
It's
That's
just
a good way
it's
to put it.
Good
titillating
way to
you
put it. Yeah.
constantly, and then letting
Yes.
you down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah,
it's the rainy night, right?
Yeah.
And then it's
It's like a stripper.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
just kidding.
It is. God.
yeah.
But so what were you gonna say though? So your scene then was Ralph.
Yep.
What jumps out to you?
I don't actually have an honest to God scene that I like the best.
We could just use what we just talked about though too, the drowning scene.
Yeah, that was super rad. Honestly, that stuck out for a bit.
Yep.
Yep.
I know seeing Kevin Bacon being killed was actually kind of fun though, because like
Yeah.
we know who that is.
Yep. Right.
And
right.
He at this point he's not
Megastar.
even anywhere near famous.
I know.
He's just a side
Man,
character,
Footloose
right?
was like 4 years after that, right?
Yeah.
Just
I didn't even know how to dance in this one.
perverse joy in Kevin Bacon being turned into bacon.
Yes. Yes.
Also, I don't know, a lot of the like the woods scenes were just really cool because it was just so goddamn dark.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Well, we were talking about that, right? Watching it on just like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You watch it on VHS 25 years ago, and you're like, "What am I looking at?"
Yeah.
Right.
A part of somebody's face, and then everything else is black.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that one scene where the guy is walking out. I think he's going to fix the generator, right? And we see he's got the lantern, the flashlight or whatever, and then he walks out into the dark and he just walks into nothing. And you're like, oh, dude, okay. Yeah, that's a really cool night scene.
Yeah.
Of him just kind of vanishing into the dark.
I just hate it when movies have fake darkness.
Yeah,
where,
right.
You know,
right.
that
Me too.
fake lighting.
Yep.
Because if you're out in like a moonless night,
Yeah.
shit disappears really quickly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and especially in the forest
No
too.
doubt. Well, and how far you can see, right? We take for granted the camera can see out there infinitely, right? It's got this badass zoom on it. But if you're actually standing there, it's like that you walk 15 yards away from somebody and you're like, "Oh, I can't see you anymore."
Yeah. And I kind of like that they
Yep.
actually allow that.
Yeah.
That was real.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I like.
Okay, Pete.
Well, I was just gonna say another cool thing about Kevin Bacon though was anything you brought this up, Dr. K, was isn't it interesting? This is one of we thought that this was one of Kevin Bacon's first movies. But he
right.
had done like 7 other movies before this.
I know.
But still interesting that like this is probably the biggest out of those 7 movies for him.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like his gateway movie into Hollywood.
Right.
The same way as Johnny Depp's was Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's right.
So it's kind of interesting, like these 2 really big 80s actors.
Yep.
And actors that have lived beyond the 80s too.
Oh, totally, man.
We both started in these horror movies.
These great, and that's the thing
Still
too.
living.
It's not, they're not. But these aren't Roger Corman horror movies either. These were actually horror movies that ended up being absolute classics by which we compare.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
But for me, the scene that I love is Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Getting hit in the face, elbowed in the face.
Yes.
Yep, here it is.
And there's a great little moment where she's in her sweater, in her big gray beehive hair and looking like Liberace. Yes. And she gets hit in the face and she falls down, and I kid you not, she actually goes, yeah. And then she hits the ground. She says, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a
Just
super
like
comical scream.
Just like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Okay, audience. So the 3 of us are sitting here watching this in my living room on my TV, and when that happens, Peter and I are laughing so hard we're about to fall off the couch.
Yeah.
And it was great because Mr. Corso is the opposite. He's like, oh yeah, okay, that was interesting.
That was pretty funny.
But Peter and I are turning blue in the face. We were laughing so hard. And then the thing is, you don't just get that one.
No.
Then they're in that like shovel fight and everything. And every time that actress gets hit, it's like
Yeah, and it's like that also is very real though, because like that's what an old lady would do if you were hitting her.
I was highly entertained by how entertained you were.
Yeah. I
We were
felt
dying.
guilty because
We were
it's like you never want to advocate for elderly abuse, but it is like that time you're really mad at your grandma. What if you did go punch her? That's what would happen. Yeah. Which would be okay if your grandmother was a psycho killer.
Yeah, right.
You gotta beat her off with a shovel.
And let's face it, some of our grandmas are.
Yes.
So,
That's right.
Yes, entirely possible.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But dang, that was good. That was really good. and she, I mean, she's so great though.
Oh,
she
dude.
really kills it.
Name
is
Mr. Corso.
incredible.
Name. What was her name again? I already forgot.
Betsy.
Betsy Palmer.
Betsy Palmer.
Betsy Palmer. That's it. There we go.
Yeah,
Betsy Palmer.
She's so good that you almost feel sad that Jason has kind of really taken over that franchise,
right.
because she was the originator.
That's right.
And like, I mean, it's like she's Syd Barrett to Pink Floyd.
That's right.
Like,
There we
of
go.
course,
Dude,
That was really nice.
Yeah.
I love
well
that.
done.
Well
right?
done. Well
right
done.
though,
dude.
like
Well done.
everybody respects Syd Barrett still.
Yeah.
Even
That's right.
though,
Totally.
the other guys went on.
It could
but-
be, Mrs. Voorhees goes to New York
yeah,
right now
right.
Right.
and punches guys'
but-
heads off.
But I do feel I do feel there's an alternate reality where
Okay.
people are dressing up like her and going to horror conventions and
yes.
stuff with that sweater. and
Oh.
The turtleneck. Yeah.
I want to
Hair.
see that as a Comic-Con outfit.
Unfortunately, if you did that right now, like nobody would know what the hell's
I
going
know
on.
they would just think, oh, there's
Why
an old
is there a
lady.
grandma
You
here?
would need you would need somebody wearing a shirt of
Yeah.
her on it,
Right.
standing next to
That's
you.
true. That's
So,
true.
Yeah. this
Well,
said
maybe
Friday
you
the
could carry
13th.
a shovel. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be kind of weird. But
Yeah.
yeah. That
Or you could just be a decapitated head.
That's
yes.
better.
Yes,
That's
yes.
better.
Go for Mrs. Voorhees in
Yeah.
part 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That involves your own decapitation, though.
Yeah.
Not recommended.
There's got to be a way. It's just science hasn't caught up to us.
Yes.
Yet,
Well, I don't know, like Rick and Morty, you can go through dimensions and get your own severed head.
Oh yeah.
That's
Or,
true. That's
what?
true.
Futurama, right? I mean, everybody is a severed head in Futurama.
Yeah, that's
yes,
right.
they are.
Yes.
That's right. We need surrogates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Build me a robot body.
Did you guys ever see that horrible movie, Surrogates?
No.
That Bruce Willis movie.
No, I don't
That
think
was.
so.
It sounds like a great premise, right?
Yeah.
It was a comic book too.
Okay.
Where in the future, right? Everyone basically is a shut-in at home, and their surrogate body goes out and has a job and has relationships, and, and they're all just controlling this perfectly idealized
Wait, that
version
was
of
was
themselves.
recently, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it was a few
man.
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce
Willis.
Willis is like a, withering
Yeah.
old man in his like Barco lounger who has a another animate body out there doing shit. Right?
Right. And it's like a younger version of him and stuff.
Right.
And and everybody does that though. The whole society is like that.
Right.
It's like Sims.
So they're like androids though.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, but somehow can they don't they like ride inside of them like with their mind or something?
Yeah, they just project the consciousness into like a better
okay.
body. Really,
Okay.
It seems like that.
Right.
Like a
that's pretty much
nicer body.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a cool concept, but it just
totally. But it just didn't work.
Just failed on the screen.
It
just wasn't working. Yeah.
It's too bad. It sounds a lot like I read Philip K. Dick's The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, and the drug that they use in that is pretty much that. It's like if you're a colonist living on a planet on Mars or somewhere, right? And life is miserable. It's totally horrible. And people get addicted to these drugs called Chew-Z, and I forget what the other one's called. But anyway.
Sound Chinese.
It kind of lets you... Well, it's like Chew-Z.
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 Yeah, right.
Oh. That sounds kind of Asian.
Chew-Z.
So you take it and you go into this altered state where you build. So before you take it, you take your toys out, right? And you have all these like Barbie dolls and stuff, and you build a scene. And then what happens is your mind inhabits the scene, but not the actual stuff. It's kind of like you're on this weird acid trip.
Yeah.
But then what you find out is the science behind it is they don't actually know if that's what's happening or if what's happening is your mind is transmutating back to Earth.
Wow.
Because you can see things happening and you can do things, but you can't interact directly with other people.
Wow.
It's this whole trip, but it's really, really well written and really cool. So for Philip K. Dick fans, I would highly recommend it.
That guy was on a whole nother plane.
He was
of existence.
so many light years ahead.
Yeah.
They're barely chasing him right now. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, Blade Runner should have kicked the door in 1982. Should have kicked the door down to be like, this guy is the shit.
Yeah.
And we're barely scratching what he was getting at. In
People
the 60s
are too
and 70s.
stupid for him, man.
It's true.
Seriously.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
They cannot grasp it.
It's I would totally support that.
Yeah. Incredible.
But that's our sci-fi tangent here. Back to
Yeah.
horror movies.
Reel it back in, dudes.
Reel it back in. So, one thing that was funny for me too was when we started watching it and it shows the 1958 scene. And then it cuts after that to 1980 when she's at the diner and she's asking for a ride and stuff. I still thought we were in 1958.
I know, that was funny. And
and
it's great too because it's so run down. The diner's all run down.
His
truck is like from 1950.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, I said something.
Well, so this is that time, right?
Yeah. And you're like, no, this is 1980 now.
Yeah. Oh,
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And you know what? We never guessed what state they were in either, right?
never
We were
did.
taking guesses.
Because
Vermont,
let's ask
Go,
the
Mr.
audience
Corso.
like
Yeah.
how many crystal lakes are there in the United States?
Right.
I'm
least
guessing
1,000.
80.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
whatever.
there's
But,
that many just in
There might be
Minnesota.
one in every county. Yeah. Right.
So which
How
state
generic.
were they actually in?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm still
Was it-
thinking it was northeast.
Me
somewhere.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. I'm
East
guessing
Coast,
Vermont or
Northeast?
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
But-
Looking at the like the woods there and everything like that.
Totally.
I think
Totally.
that's proper.
And general attitudes. There wasn't anything California about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Didn't one of them say at some point like, "Oh, my uncle in Maine" or something?
Yeah. Yep.
Over in Maine, something
Right.
like that. So like
I
we
didn't
don't
catch
say
that, but
over
that's a
in
good
Maine
point.
over here on the West Coast.
Right.
We say way the hell over there.
Yeah. In Canada.
Yeah.
I mean Maine.
Yeah. In that weird
over on that
place.
goddamn East Coast
yeah.
of the United States, which we don't want to be a part of.
Go Yankees.
Dr. K does love the Yankees.
I do. I'm guilty. I married a New Jersey girl. I'm to blame.
What are you doing over here?
I know. I'm from here. I'm from the West Coast. I'm the People's Republic of California, but I got the hell out. So
Well, now you're
That
in
was a long time ago.
Cascadia,
20
sir.
Cascadia.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yep.
But Friday the 13th, so you said the first three are really good.
I would so okay. I've seen all of them except for Jason X, which I've seen parts of, but I haven't watched it all the way through.
Is that the one where he's in space?
That's the one in space.
That one is fun.
And so I caught it on TV, so I missed parts of it, and then I was in and out on it, and it did seem really fun. But so I'm gonna be totally transparent here, and so if anyone asked me about that, I would be like, I would have to watch it again. But but I do own all of them, even that freaking reboot. Now here's the thing with that reboot. I was telling Peter this. I couldn't sit through 10 minutes of it.
Wow.
It was so. And I'm going to go back to it.
Are we talking about Jason in Space here?
No, we're talking about Friday the 13th, the remade one from like
2 years ago.
5 years ago. 8 years ago, something like that.
Where they pretty much just copied Final Destination.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I think I was telling you, it's one thing. We've all got expectations going into a movie like that's on part 12, right? I think that's part 12.
Yeah.
Because it would have been Jason versus Freddy was part 11, and then that one.
Which was great.
Which was awesome, and we'll get to that, because I think the original trilogy, forget everything else, Jason versus Freddy, those 4 are the cream. Now, the rest of them are all pretty good. I know Mr. Corso has a particular feelings about Jason Takes Manhattan, right?
Oh man, it's fucking awesome.
It's super fun, like you said.
I love it
when he punches the guy's head off. I mean, there's a bunch of
corny and great.
Yes,
man. Yeah,
right. Fighting punk
punching
rockers
this
with
person's
chains
head off
and,
is like. How do you top that?
Right. Even how he gets there with the boat and he's underwater and it's so
like the whole cruise ship part of it is fucking great
it's
too.
Ridiculous.
You know, there's a lot of first person in there with the shoulder cameras.
Yes, right.
They had VHS back then.
Yes. Yeah.
That's fucking great.
The giant. Oh man, the giant backpack.
Well, also, sorry. When he takes off his mask and shows like those.
Yes, his face, his rotten face. Yeah.
You know, the breakdancers or whatever.
Yeah.
That was.
And they're like,
I think what's great too is because I remember seeing that as a kid too, and I was hugely into my action movies phase, you know.
Yes.
And it was so great because that Jason punching the guy's head off was like he went a step further than Arnold or Stallone
Totally,
anybody
right.
could, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was the ultimate action hero
right.
in a way. Like
you could just punch your head off.
Yeah, like Charles Bronson could never do that, you know.
Right.
None of these dudes can punch a guy's head off. They have to use a tool.
Right.
That's right.
And I was like,
That's right.
Jason is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, you're all right, Jason.
Totally.
You know what? I usually like Conan chopping people's heads off with swords.
Yeah.
But if you can punch a head off, you're kind of cool.
Just punch it off.
Exactly. Yeah. You're okay in my book, sir.
I like you.
So, the original trilogy is awesome. Particularly because I think it tells a singular story. When you get to 4, which is the new chapter, that just in the title, it's telling you we're now going to do new stories about Jason and forget the whole Friday the 13th thing. Because I mean, and we joked about this in the first one. They barely mention the significance of the date, right? It really almost instantly with the first movie becomes the Jason movies.
Yeah, right.
But the cool thing is, so the second one, the sequel, is about, Jason is now older and he's grown up and he's got the weird altar to his mom. He doesn't have the hockey mask in the second one. He's now the killer of the new camp counselors. But I find that one to be the most creepy one because that's got the burlap bag with the cutout eye and everything. And
it's a pretty good
it's
look.
Just totally weird and more Texas Chainsaw Massacre-y in its delivery. And then the third one, that's the one with Corey Feldman on his decline to total weirdo bizarroness. There's a really good interview with him talking about that movie, how he shot Friday the 13th Part 3 on his day off from shooting Goonies. So he would shoot Goonies like 5 or 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Then he went over to Paramount and would shoot.
Jeez. Holy shit.
He would do pickups on Friday the 13th 1 day a week, and then they would shoot around him and shoot all of the scenes he wasn't in.
I think that's pretty awesome, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is. Well, you see the kind of person he turned
like
into.
12 years old, too, right?
Yeah, right. It's a hard way to work a kid.
But a lot of those 80s actors were like that, though.
They were.
I think that's why. Yeah. I mean, like Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future.
Right.
He's filming Family Ties during the day.
Right.
And then he goes from the set from there to film Back to the Future 3
I didn't even realize that overlap. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He was working like 18 hours a day, like 6 days a week. Kind of just insane.
That was the attitude. Yeah.
God, those people must have had like their own personal Dr. Feelgood to keep,
Oh, yeah.
keep those those drugs
Yep.
going,
Without
keep
a
them
doubt.
alive, and
Without a doubt.
happened
Yep.
for
Yep.
It was David
Filming.
Lee Roth. David Lee Roth was their Dr. Feelgood.
And his bouncer with
Yep.
his coat full of beers.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite. Henry Rollins says he meets David Lee Roth the first time at he went to a display for the Black Flag artist, what's his name? Raymond Pettibone was doing a showing. And so he's there, and David Lee Roth walks up to him, and he goes, "Hey, Rollins, how's it going, man?" And he looks over, and he's like, "Oh, shit," right? "This is David Lee Roth." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I fucking Black Flag's awesome." He's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And his bouncer just opens his coat, and he has beers in the sleeve of his jacket. And Rollins is like, "No, but thank you."
I would say yes. I am going to take a beer from
I will
a
have
coat.
a beer. Thank you.
A sleeve of
It's
beers.
great. It's warm, but it's all right.
Yeah. This guy carries my guns and my beers. But anyway, Friday the 13th, Part 3, which is called Friday the 13th 3D,
Yeah.
because it's Part 3. The 3D in it is horrible. It's garbage. But the story is good, and it's the first time you get to see Jason in the mask. So that's the one where when he shows up to the camp, this time it's actually a neighborhood. It's not in a camp. It's kind of weird. So Corey Feldman lives on a neighborhood, which is now like this suburban sprawl that goes up next to the woods where the camp is at.
Gotcha.
And Jason comes down to start killing neighborhood kids, and you find out he's got this weird connection to one of the counselors who was killed. At any rate, Jason is walking around, and he finds a hockey mask in somebody's pile of stuff in the suburbs. Puts the hockey mask on. Everything changes from that point forward. I will say this. The story in that third one is fantastic. Where it culminates into the end, Corey Feldman's performance is great. He he pretends to be Jason's mom. He shaves his head. It's really freaking weird.
Yeah.
And he tries to like hypnotize Jason, and he's this huge horror movie fan, so he gets it because he loves horror movies so much. He's figuring out
That
like
is
what
such
bad
a
guys would do.
convoluted script.
Yeah.
It is.
What
And
is
I'm
up with
probably
that?
not selling it very good.
No, it
it's
sounds
really
great,
good though.
It does sound
I
great.
will say it's executed. It's pretty awesome. But then you get into everything after 3 is okay. The next Jason movie, right? And it does that all the way through. It's another Jason movie. What's he
it's
do
on
this time?
repeat.
Okay, this time he's got to return. This time he's got to get burned. This time, just totally what Halloween was doing.
Yeah.
He goes to Manhattan, which is a great one. He goes into space.
What can we do next? What can we
But
do
then,
next?
then it was the next step, right? Then it was
Jason
really
goes to
Jason versus Freddy. I
Disneyland.
thought was the next one to be
Yeah.
super excited about.
Yeah.
because that
Yeah,
one they
yeah.
just went over the top on.
Yeah.
and it's what everybody wanted so bad
Yeah.
after A New Nightmare when we saw.
And then for years it was like, oh, then we're gonna get a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yes, right.
There was that
Oh, yeah.
rumor going
Yep.
on forever.
Yep,
But
that's right.
Freddy
That's right.
versus Jason versus Ash versus the Predator and the
Yeah.
and aliens.
Yes,
yeah.
and Leatherface.
So I would see that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Just all of them.
and Chucky.
So,
I think
yeah.
Chucky was there, and,
Chucky.
a Leprechaun.
Yeah. Just a huge.
I'm
huge-
surprised that actually hasn't happened.
I know.
Just
To
like,
be honest,
There's a game. There's a video game. It's unofficial, but yeah, you get to pick pinheads in there, and they got everybody. Yeah.
man, I think that would give them a license to print money. Like just
Right.
everybody will watch it. you
That's
know?
right.
But what I was thinking when you were talking about these first 3
Yes.
Friday the 13th.
Yep.
I was thinking about, isn't it interesting that we got Jason and we got Michael Myers, like the two and Freddy, I guess. Those
He was
three-
kind of late to the game. But
Yeah.
he was. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Freddy
yeah.
is really different. Like
Yeah,
let's talk
totally.
about Freddy in a few minutes here.
Totally
because-
supernatural.
Yeah, because
right.
more so Mike Myers
Yep.
and
Yep.
Michael
Jason.
Myers.
Michael Myers,
Not Mike
yeah.
Myers from SNL. Michael Myers.
same person.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Jason, they're almost essentially like what they do is very similar. They wear a mask.
Yep.
And they don't say shit.
That's right. No lines. No lines out of either of them ever.
Yeah.
Hey, rules. Wear a mask.
Yes.
Don't say shit.
Yeah.
That's right.
And for some reason, especially I think when you're younger too, like they represent this force.
Man, totally.
Like this you can't. recognize the face. They don't talk to you. It's this force of like, what is it? What is that fear is so tangible?
That's right.
You know?
Malevolence.
It's fucking death, man.
It's death, right? Yeah,
death.
It's that thing where it's like, like you're young and you're full of life. You got your whole world ahead of you.
Right.
But now you're seeing all these kids getting slaughtered.
Right.
These others, teenagers, just like you, they're getting slaughtered by this faceless, silent force.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just such a powerful thing. It's
It is.
Totally.
Like you can. It's this great thing where you can just cast all your fears into it, right?
Totally.
It's like this catch-all thing where it's like that. Whatever you're scared of in your life, it represents that. For you,
yeah.
Right.
It's the fear archetype.
Yeah.
Right. The Shape. I mean, that's why Michael Myers originally was The Shape.
The
right?
Shape.
That I think what you got at was just exactly what Carpenter was saying about
and that
how he isn't really, he's supernatural without being overtly supernatural.
Yeah.
And he's all of those things. He's all of the things you're afraid of. Yeah.
And that's so, and I think that's why we have so many sequels.
Yeah,
and year after year, the next generations are all lining up to see the next one because it's just that never goes away. They've somehow defined it, and then they've made like a whole kind of structure and formula for you to just sit in, and then you can, and it's cathartic too, right?
Totally,
it's like
man.
you can just get rid of your fears, throwing them on this faceless mask.
Now we're totally tapping into archetypes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Death, sex, love.
Right.
We're talking about gods and goddesses.
We haven't even.
here.
I mean, what you just said, Hellraiser. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And that brings in the whole problem of shame and guilt, right?
Yes.
Guilt more than shame, but like you're being punished for something, right?
Sin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then Freddy though is interesting because Freddy, it's almost like they recognized how similar Michael Myers and Jason were.
Yes.
So then they're like, let's make Freddy really chatty and really like, he's the opposite of that. He's
totally
cracking
different.
jokes.
Yeah, that's right.
He's, you know what I mean? Like he's a wild man, a little bit of the Joker kind of feeling.
Yeah. The phantasmagorical aspect of Freddy too, the fact that he's in your dreams, right?
Yeah.
He can't. I mean, he does come out into the real world every once in a while, but that's more of a gag. I think the fact that he exists in your subconscious and then kills you there,
right?
And he's not subject to the rules of physics, right? Yeah. I loved that about him. Yeah. He gets to make it up, and he's a trickster, like you were saying. And
he is a trickster.
The whole point of him is, and I think different, right? So his motive, he's got a motive too, right? He got burned, the people found out he's a child molester and they burned him in his house. And so now this is his way of getting back and all of that. But I think he's way more, because he's more of a trickster. Michael Myers is not a trickster. He's the thing everyone's afraid of that comes back and kills you, right?
He's this immovable force.
Exactly. And Jason Voorhees, whatever he is, he tends to he's more tropish in that he only really kills teenagers and he only kills camp counselors.
Do we even touch that? Like why does Jason kill people?
Because they deserve it.
Why?
They're trying to have sex. They should be killed.
Well,
I think he's more flimsy.
Well,
he's got more of a flimsy
he's
story.
A force of justice. What is this?
Well, yes, for the weird, what back then was the weird right, which is now the weird left, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's that like,
God,
you need to be
We're
punished.
so fucking weird.
Yes.
People are so fucking weird.
Yeah, he's the Punisher.
He is the Punisher.
He's the Punisher
Yeah.
in not the comic book Punisher, but like he's the force of punishment.
Right.
Like you should be punished.
Freddy is like, he's just there. I think that's why Freddy scared me the most out of the three. He was just devious, right?
Anybody's fair game.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I get into your mind, and I'm just gonna kill you, and I'm gonna toy with you,
for killing,
and fuck with you a little. Oh yeah.
Just want a good time. That's all.
That's the other thing too. The other guys didn't toy with you. They just chopped you to meat, right? And Leatherface too, right? He would just club you in the head with his hammer, and then put you on a meat hook and saw you up.
Oh yeah.
But Freddy wanted to mess with you, man. He was like. Yeah, he would turn into a phone and lick your ear and all of these terrible things. But he wanted to manipulate you first and really like torture you.
He was way more psychological.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's very stylish too, though.
Yeah,
like
very much so.
Like
he had a fedora.
Yeah, and remember the clawed hand like coming out of the bathtub.
Oh man,
like that. That's so stylish.
It
you
is.
know, it's like he
True.
has flair.
That image is
Also, he wears a fedora.
Yes. And the striped sweater and the
and cool brown pants.
Yeah, and his shadow and like I mean,
I think there's so many cool things that they cashed in on.
Freddy really like I think Wes Craven, right?
Yeah, yep, Craven.
He really saw what was going on in the other ones, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna try to be different now, and it worked, you know.
Yeah, we do have to do an episode just on Craven because he hits so many different great points in horror. You know, like start Last House on the Left, and then The Hills Have Eyes, and then
Scream,
Friday the 13th.
Yep. Or you mean Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, I do mean that.
Yep.
He hit on so many of these cool ideas, you know, that really turned into.
He's almost like the John Hughes of horror movies.
Right?
Nice.
There we go.
Right? But don't you think?
Well, nice. Yeah, totally.
He really
had a unique vision, and
he really understood.
Yep,
and he understood how teenagers thought.
That's right.
For years, like you know, like even like Scream was so hip when that came out.
Oh man,
it was so cool.
I was all in on Scream, man. All in.
Like, yeah. Yep. But he's just like talking about high school.
Yes.
You know.
Right.
It's just amazing.
A great whodunit too. That was another. Kind of like this, like the movie we're talking about. It's kind of like, well, who is the guy, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know, and then it kind of goes in a circle, and ends up being Roseanne's sister. Oh wait, that was in the second one. no, it was in the first one. Isn't it? Sabretooth? The actor who plays Sabretooth in the first Wolverine movie, in the second Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
That actor.
It's not Skeet Ulrich, is it? That guy.
Oh.
Skeet.
No, I can't remember his name. Dang it. I'm drawing a blank. Well, we will edit it in here now. Yes. So that guy.
Yeah. Rob Bottin.
Yes.
That's what we.
Yes, it was Rob Bottin.
Bottin.
Yep.
And his sidekick, Tom Savini.
Liev Schreiber? No.
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
That's it. That's who it was. Yep, you got it. Yep.
Is it Liev or is it Liev?
That's it. Thank you.
He probably says
Pete's got all the
Liev
names, man.
because
Pete's
it's
my
more-
encyclopedia.
Well, sometimes.
Yes, that was well done. But anyway, so yeah, I forget what we're talking about. Never mind.
He was in Scream.
He was in Scream because wasn't he the bad guy in the first one?
No. What's his face? That was in the new Twin Peaks.
Oh
reboot.
Right. Yeah,
you know,
it's
the rules
goofy-
of horror films.
Yes.
Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
There we go, Shaggy.
That guy.
Yeah, that's who it was. You're
Oh,
right.
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew
Yeah,
Lillard.
Jesus,
Well done.
of course.
Yeah.
Well done. That's who it was. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
Matthew
he
Lillard
was
was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
He was incredible in the Twin Peaks reboot. Like,
Absolutely.
he just has
Very
like
good.
one or two scenes in that, but
That's
he
great.
just
that's
owned
all it
it.
takes, right?
Oh,
Okay, he's been in some like mediocre movies,
Right.
but his acting is on par.
That's
okay.
great. Yeah.
he does his work. He does his
He
work.
does his work very well.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe he hasn't picked the best movies to be in, but he himself as an actor,
Yeah,
I
totally.
respect the fuck out of that dude.
Right.
That's
I
great.
think he's great.
Yeah.
It's like Christopher Walken. He can be in all these
Yes.
crappy
Yeah.
movies,
That's
but
right.
like he's always good. You know?
Yes.
I feel like Lillard's had like a lot of potential and he's fulfilled it and he still has more potential.
Yeah. And David Lynch saw that.
Fuck yes.
Yes. That's
Yes, he
right.
did.
That's what it takes.
Yeah,
Right?
because like for me, you know, watching the new Twin Peaks, I was kind of surprised. I was like, Matthew Lillard. I haven't seen him in anything besides Scooby Doo
Right.
for years. Like, what is he doing in a David Lynch project?
Dude, I fucking loved him in SLC Punk, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
See, I didn't see
Dude,
that.
that movie is so good.
Okay.
The scene when I know we're way the fuck off
Just go.
stream
Go,
here,
go.
but
Just go.
That's the
it's
point.
like
Yep.
when Heroin Bob dies
Yeah.
and he finds his dead body there,
Yes.
you know, just like he wakes up and they were both sleeping and he's dead.
Yes.
He cries so fucking hard that snot's coming out of his nose.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It goes all the way.
I mean, it makes you fucking cry
Yeah.
because he's actually crying because
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah. That's the moment too. I think there's so much debate on what that movie is about, and I'm in the camp. And the scene you're talking about is totally affirms, I think, my point. That movie is about a poser. SLC Punk is about a kid who wants to get into punk rock, who is not a punk rocker, and who never goes wholesale in on anything. And it builds to that scene, right?
Well, you know, they cut back to the point where when they get right into punk.
Yeah.
Before that, they were like super D&D nerds.
Right. Well, that's the thing. He's always searching. He's grabbing at things, right? Yeah. He's a D&D nerd.
Yeah.
He's a dabbler, is what he is. Your main
love that
character is, and you want to be totally sympathetic to him, But I'm telling you, watch it again and be like, this guy doesn't know what he wants, and he's going to grab at anything, right?
He never signs up for a tribe.
Exactly. And
True.
that's the thing. And what
I
he does
actually
is he
like
goes
that
all in
concept.
on the punk rock kids who are like an extremely tight,
Yeah.
very difficult group
Oh, of course.
to get into.
Highly
right?
tribal.
And his true colors show through, right? That's a great movie. That really is. It's good luck finding a copy of it. Go find it. Don't buy a copy. Just go find it.
Yeah.
Because it's great and it's been out of print forever. But,
Go to Blockbuster and Bend.
there we
Yeah,
go.
rent
Yes.
it.
Go to Bend.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. I'm sure somebody's posted.
They
it.
need
Yeah.
people to rent movies instead of just taking pictures of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, come to Portland and go to Movie Madness.
Yes.
Movie Madness.
Movie Madness.
You're
Yeah.
correct.
And there we go. I'm sure that he's got it.
Stuttered a little bit.
Sure. Yes. I was gonna say Movie Maniacs, but that was the video store when I lived in Jackson, Wyoming. Was Movie Maniacs, not to be confused.
Not to be confused. But
The Movie Madness, which needs to be a museum because it's awesome.
it belongs in a museum. What movie was that from, Mr. Corso?
Raiders. Oh, sorry. I'll shut up.
Oh,
Drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
all right.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
You win that round.
Yep. But no, it ends up in a crate,
Yeah.
in a warehouse full of crates.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
right. Wait a second. No, you're wrong. It was.
Am I wrong?
Last Crusade. That's remember.
Oh, you're right.
Belongs in a museum.
That's
That
right.
was,
You're right. Yep.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, Last Crusade. Yeah.
That was River Phoenix.
That was River Phoenix,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
okay,
The
though.
boat
That-
scene.
Yeah.
Yep,
It was
you're
morphing
absolutely
into
right,
my.
man.
That,
Yep.
We
I thought it
named
was
the
Raiders.
dog Indiana.
The dog. In Greek. Remember that? Like, say the alphabet. In Greek.
In Greek.
Yeah.
Now
Now we're really going off on tangents.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. We're
Yeah.
totally.
We're spitballing. Here, let's get back to Friday the 13th.
Okay, back to Friday the 13th.
How long have we been talking for?
We have been on air for an hour and 1 minute.
Okay.
Holy
That's pretty good.
shit.
Right around an hour. It's
Yeah.
pretty good for us. I think. Should we start to wrap it up? Should we have some final thoughts?
Should we have some final thoughts on this great film? We should.
This is always the tough part for me.
It
It's
is.
like
It is.
Everybody gets emotional too.
I know. We all start crying. But then we remember
Yeah.
sometimes I
Mrs.
pee.
Voorhees getting whacked with a stick.
And she hits the ground. Oh, love it.
You can make a little musical of
I
that.
know.
Find that clip and just like
There we go.
auto tune it
Yeah.
Yeah.
to like a
Get Moby to come and
oh
do a
yes
version of it.
oh god
Yeah.
perfect Moby.
Yeah. Man, that was so great though.
Yes.
It really was. But yeah, any final thought? I mean, this was a great movie. This is
Dude,
a really
it's
good
awesome.
movie, I think.
It's not to be underestimated.
It isn't.
Yeah. It's an easy one to sweep under the carpet because there were so many sequels. But
Right.
you just got to forget about that and really get back to
Get back to basics.
Get back to the first one. You know, I think with all of those too. You know, even easy ones to pick on like the Leprechaun or Chucky. The first ones are awesome. They're usually really great, and there's a reason they were able to make 10 sequels to all of those.
Yep.
But you got to go back to the first, just like we were saying with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, that was a 1-2 punch. But man, the first one should blow your mind. It's pretty heavy, and this is one that's really good. I mean, this isn't. I don't think this is nearly as profound of a movie. It's more fun, but the execution of it, the shooting of it, and the fact that it's your foot in the door to Friday the 13th. If you love Friday the 13th, watch the first 3.
Yeah.
You will not be disappointed, but you know, it lets you get in there.
It does, and it's. I think it really crystallized that campfire story.
Yes.
And since then now, any kid could say like, oh, go and watch Friday the 13th.
It becomes its own story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's pretty great for that.
I think what's astounding to me about the movie is that it's so vastly different from the entire Friday the 13th series.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
That this model of this movie
Yeah.
made this whole series of movies.
Yes.
It's just so different.
Totally.
And
Totally.
You go from this to Jason in space.
right.
It's like that's a pretty far stretch.
it's like
It is.
like a solid red color
Yeah.
shifting to a purple to all blue
Yeah.
after
Right.
that. You know,
Right.
it's just like
Yeah. No, that's a great analogy.
Yeah,
It really is.
definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So watch this movie, people.
Totally.
Do it. It's actually worth it. I like it. Yeah.
It is. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
It's foundational.
It really is. I think almost anybody could enjoy it. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a
it
huge
doesn't have a lot of
horror fan.
gore.
Not a lot.
It's got a few slasher, and again, credit to Tom Savini for just awesome makeup,
Really.
for what little he had to do, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good.
Really good.
But yeah, it's not, it's not something you'd be afraid to show your mom. She'd be like, oh, that's disgusting.
Right. Just cover your eyes, Mom, for 1 second.
On.
Okay, now you can watch it again.
Yes. Kevin Bacon, Mom. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a family movie, really.
It's good for kids of all ages.
Yes. All ages. All ages.
Nobody will have
my kids
nightmares.
would watch it for 2 minutes and be like, boring.
They'll fall asleep before anybody gets their throat cut.
Yeah. What is this about again?
Any kid will walk in now and be like, it was the mom.
Yeah.
You're like, what? How did you get that? What? It's on YouTube.
Dang it, internet.
Yeah.
Spoil everything as we sat and spent an hour and 10 minutes spoiling this movie.
Yeah.
No, it's totally rad, and it's not super fast paced, but it's
No, right. Actually, I would say the timing is really good. We were talking about that during it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a gangbusters
No.
blowing you away with
Right.
stuff. There's just,
Yeah.
it's a lot about like real good setup
Right.
to what is going to come
Exactly.
next. And
It's a real good setup movie.
yeah.
It's almost one of those movies, because I felt watching it with you guys, even though we knew we were going to do a podcast about it,
Yeah.
I felt like it was really fun to watch with you guys, like watch with friends.
Totally.
We were Mystery Science Theatering it.
Oh, man, totally.
We were just talking while we were watching it. So like it has that experience, but I could also see it as being a very solitary experience too. And it would be totally different,
Yeah.
but still enjoyable, like
Yeah.
like some movies like are definitely better with friends.
Right.
But this one I feel like can go either way. Watch it by yourself, you have that experience, or you watch it with a group of friends, you have that experience.
Yeah.
Because I think it could be much scarier by yourself.
Man, totally. Yeah,
right?
by yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially watch like
Yeah.
that and Halloween at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You'd
agree.
get pretty bugged out. Yeah.
Watch it and then go camping by yourself.
Oh, fuck.
Find a place called Crystal Lake.
Okay.
Yes.
That's too much. And on that note, do we end or what?
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. If you follow us here at the Neighborhood Watch, we appreciate it so much. Hopefully you are really digging on our 5-minute top fives, our new series, which thanks
I know
to
I
the
am. I'm listening to it a lot.
I was gonna say,
Me too.
everybody pat Peter on the back because he's cranking those things out.
I'm patting him on the back right now.
All I do is push
Thank you.
record.
Yeah.
He does all the heavy lifting.
Hey, it's a team effort here. It's a team effort here.
But we're gonna keep inundating you with those to keep your hackles up, and I'm interested in WTF we're doing here.
That's right.
And we hope you like it. And until next episode, thanks for hanging out with
Thank you.
Mr. Corso,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Mr. Venkman,
We love you.
and me, your Dr. K.